Welcome to the Undisputed podcast. I'm your host, Jenny Taft. This podcast is the full show from today's episode of Undisputed from start to finish. They've got a busy slate, so skip Shannon, let's get to it.
Welcome to Undisputed live from Los Angeles. I'm Alex Curry here with Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharpe. Good morning, guys. How we doing this Monday?
Doing real good.
Are you really?
How you doing, Alex?
Wait, I'm waiting for that sizzle reel to roll of all your genius predictions over the weekend. Hawks, wrong. Nuggets, wrong. Clippers,
I didn't say Clippers wasn't going to win on Friday.
But you said they're going to win in 5.
What about tonight?
Yeah, we'll see.
Who Drake do on Friday? Who Drake do on Friday?
That was your one moment in the sun. I told you better enjoy your 15 minutes because they were over fast.
Okay. All right. I want you to have the energy in the morning now.
Yep.
All right, well, let's dive right into the Clippers because finding themselves down 0-2 for the second straight series, Kawhi and the Clippers made a statement with a 132-106 win versus the Jazz on Saturday. Kawhi and Paul George combined for 65 points, and after the game, Ty Lue said of his stars, quote, "We know that they are two of the best in the league. LA now has a chance to tie the series at 2 games each tonight." So, Shannon, who wins game 4?
I'm going to take the Jazz, Skip. The Clippers
You
play.
better take the Jazz.
No. The Clippers play the
do or die for you.
It ain't do or die.
Well, it is too if you got Jazz in 5.
As long as the Jazz win, it's really die for you.
I'm just saying, you have to win this game or you lose 5 cases. You have 5 cases on this game tonight.
But
am I correct?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
And I got 5 cases on this series, so I might be 10, might get 10.
No. You have to win tonight or you lose 5 cases.
I ain't worried about that. Okay. I'm not even worried about it. Because you holding your hopes on Paul George doing tonight what he did on Saturday. And I don't see that happening. Now, give the Clippers credit. The one thing, and I didn't like what I saw from the Jazz early on, Skip, because the one thing I know about a Ty Lue coach team, that they're going to fight. They're not going down without a fight. He will have them ready to play. And I don't think the Jazz met their intensity to start the game because I guess they thought because we're up 2-0 and the Clippers are just going to just roll over. And that wasn't going to happen. I know that about a Ty Lue coach team. So with that being said, I anticipate the Jazz to come out with more intensity. They didn't start the game with the intensity that they needed to start. They started the game like a team that was up 2-0. We're comfortable with where we are, and I don't need to see that. I need a team that's scratching and clawing, trying to get up 3-0. Now you're trying to get up 3-1. I need Donovan to be a little bit more aggressive in the first quarter because we saw what he did, Skip, the first quarter of game 1. We saw how he took the game over. We saw what he did in game 3 in the second quarter, how he got it rolling. But that was a little bit too late. Now, Paul George got nothing bad to say about him. But this was the first game of the postseason, Skip. He shot 40%, 50% from the floor and 40% from the 3 in the same game. So he was due a game because Reggie Jackson and Kawhi and some of the other guys have been carrying PG. So PG owed him a game like this, and it came at the right time. He had it going in the first half. Kawhi got it going in the second half. And that was the 1-2 punch. That's why they got both of those guys. They're like, you know what? We got 2 superstars. If one gets it going, he can hold the fort down until the other gets it going. And that's what happened. But I believe the Jazz, they're going to make the 3. They're going to shoot the 3, Skip. But they didn't shoot the ball from too well. Donovan missed a lot of bunnies. Bogdanovich didn't play well, missed a lot of bunnies. I'm going to need Bogdanovich to play with that, what I saw in games 1 and 2. I didn't see that. And Quinn Snyder, I don't know why you keep putting Niang in the ball game, but all he does, he come down and shoot 3s in transition, and he turns the ball over and kill whatever momentum that they had. They're going to need a little bit more offensively from Rudy Gobert, Skip. They start. That's one thing about Ty, Skip. He doesn't have a lineup that's etched in stone. It's not saying, well, okay, we got these 5 guys. You see what he did again? He went away from Zubac and started Nicholas Batum. So he's going to constantly try to find a matchup where he's at an advantage, and it forces Rudy Gobert away from the basket. And what does that do? Open lanes. Paul George driving the ball. Kawhi driving the ball. You got to take something away, Skip. You can't let the Clippers drive the basket and make 16, 17, 18 threes because you can't beat them like that. You're going to have to take something away. I believe we take the lane away tonight, force them to make threes, and the Jazz go up 3-1. And I have a stranglehold on this.
Really? Well, you would at 3-1. I would give you that. So I cannot tell you how many issues I have with all the things you just spat all over the place.
Okay.
I'll start with the start.
Okay.
You said that your Jazz came out without intensity.
Defensive intensity.
It was 8-0 before I could even get my computer open before me so I could start tweeting. And I said, well, here we go again. This is game 3 at Dallas all over again when they fell behind 30-11 down 0-2, except in that series, they had lost the first 2 games, obviously, at home. 30-11 at Dallas, and they slowly but surely, speaking of scratching and clawing, scratched and clawed all the way back into that game to win it. In game 4, then came home and upchucked all over the floor in game 5, and then they climbed out of that hole by winning game 6 and 7. It's just who they are. So Ty Lue called the timeout of the weekend, maybe of the year, at 8-0, and just said, who are you guys and what are you doing? Because clearly, to me, the Clippers have demonstrated they're a little better than the best team in record in the NBA. They're a little bit better, and I'll demonstrate how they have demonstrated that. But you have to actually play better than the other team, and they haven't routinely done that except in Game 3 on Saturday at Staples Center. So at 8-0, they pulled their heads out, and they started to actually play Clippers basketball, and here they came. I will give you Donovan Mitchell. He was a little passive in the first quarter because Kawhi was up into him, and when Kawhi takes him, Kawhi actually bothers him a little bit. He came on strong like gangbusters in the second quarter and said, I don't care who's guarding me, how far from the basket. I'm just going to shoot it whenever I feel like shooting it, and he went Steph Curry starting in the second quarter. He also tweaked his right ankle. I couldn't really see it. He came down a little awkwardly, but it didn't look that bad to me. And the next thing I know, he is stumbling up the tunnel toward the locker room. And I'm thinking, seriously? It is the same right ankle that kept him out down the stretch of the season and cost him game 1 when he wanted to play against Memphis.
That was the ankle that he took off on, because I was looking, did he land on somebody's foot?
No.
What happened?
No.
And it just seemed like he took off on it, and it
I love Donovan Mitchell. I pushed for him that year, the whole year, that he should have been Rookie of the Year over Ben Simmons. You took Ben Simmons. But Donovan Mitchell is as explosive a scorer as there is in this league.
Yes.
He also has a little bit of diva in him, and occasionally he goes diva. And in that case, he went a little diva. Then he comes back out for the heroic return and said, put me back in, coach. And about that time, somebody else made another three. I think it was Terrence Mann made another 3 for the Clippers. And finally, Quinn Snyder said, you know what? Enough is enough. I think let's let him have this one, and let's save you for game 4. I'm pretty sure he's going to come on like gangbusters again tonight, and I don't think that will be any issue. But here's my point about my man Kawhi Leonard. He was the best player on the floor on Saturday evening at Staples, as he has to be again tonight. But if you look at one column, he made 1 of 6 3-point shots. That cannot happen again tonight. He needs to make 3 or 4. How about 5?
His teammates made 18, Skip, so he good. If you're going to get that kind of production from your teammates.
Okay, I got it. I still believe the Clippers are going to win tonight. I think it will be much closer than 26 points tonight because the Jazz are really good. They finished first in record for a reason. They were 3rd in offense and 3rd in defense and 1st in rebounding. It will be difficult to overcome them tonight, and I'm here to tell my Clippers that what happened Saturday night is meaningless if you don't rinse and repeat tonight. And you're going to have to take it up, Kawhi Leonard, one more level tonight, because as great as Kawhi was in the fourth quarter, that's when he really rose and shone. He went 5 of 5 in the fourth quarter, and every time the Jazz said yes, he said no. That's who he is and who he has to be tonight. I thought in both series against Dallas and now against the Jazz, he went into that load management thing that's in the back of his mind where I got to save myself. I got to save. And they got down 0-2 at home to Dallas, and now 0-2.
Well, Skip, you mentioned it, though. But you look at the first half, what he's doing. He's expending a lot of energy trying to control Donovan Mitchell.
Well, this time he did.
So PG's like, okay, I got it. Once they had the thing under control, he said, well, now it's my turn to go to work. And you see him tuck over the second half.
Okay. I still believe in the Clippers. I believe they're going to win this series in 6 games. I believe they can beat the Phoenix Suns in the conference finals. And now all of a sudden, the East looks as wide open as ever because we don't know about Kyrie. We don't know about James Harden. I don't even know about Blake Griffin. We'll get to that in just a moment here. I'm not sure about any of that. So is it Milwaukee? Is it the Sixers? Will the Hawks make a desperate rally? It could be anybody's ball game in the East. And it's why I love the Clippers in the West and in the finals. But here's the point. The Clippers have this thing in them. They have to do it the hardest way. So tonight, if they fall behind 3-1, maybe they feel like we need to be down 3-1, where we have to fight back from 3-1 down. I sure hope not, because that will take 3 more years off my life. And they are, again, the most frustrating team to watch. Again, I'm glad nobody has a tape of me during the Clippers games, because they drive me way crazier than the Cowboys have ever driven me, because they do dumb stuff. They miss easy shots. Kawhi missed a layup in the first quarter. He just got to the basket and just laid it up too hard and it went completely over the rim. Right. But then he redeemed himself by turning back into Kawhi Leonard. Here is the key to me. Here's why I believe the Clippers will slowly but surely show you they're better than the Jazz. What did we see in game number 1 at Utah? Well, the Clippers came out and just took the game over, and they led by 13 at half, and they did not play well in the third quarter, but they fought back in the fourth quarter and had a last shot to tie at the end of regulation, right? What did we see in game number 2? From the mid-third quarter to the mid-fourth quarter, the Los Angeles Clippers went on a 46-23 run. That's hard to do at Utah. It's a hard place to play. To beat them by 23 points over a whole quarter stretch, 46-23, to go ahead by 2 points on a big Reggie Jackson, Mr. June, 3-point shot. And I thought, we got them. We don't got them, because the Clippers proceeded to miss 9 straight shots, including 7 threes. And you know the end of that story. The game fell apart. Then what did I see on Saturday evening? They won that game by 26 points. So I just showed you 3 games. There are big, long stretches in all 3 games when you say, well, the Clippers are just a little better than the Utah Jazz.
Well, Skip, when I said they didn't come out with the intensity, if you look at it, yeah, they had an 8-0 lead. Then all of a sudden they let Reggie Jackson get off 2 threes that he's uncontested. They start letting guys get uncontested shots. That's the thing they normally are more engaged than what they are. They know the paint is protected. So look, you can hug up a little tighter, because if they get past you, they're not going all the way to the rim. They're not trying to see Rudy Gobert there. But Reggie Jackson walks into 2 threes, the next thing you know, Skip, we got a tie ball game. And so now it changed the whole complexity of the game, because the Clippers like, oh, we right back. But Skip, if Reggie Jackson and Paul George are going to go 11 or 16 from the 3, the Jazz got their work cut out for them. And another thing, you said the Jazz shot the highest percentage from 3-point this year as a team.
They did.
Well, if you let them make 19, that percentage, because they don't normally shoot that many. Well, if they get the number 1 percentage shooting team, they make 19. What is their percent going to be? That's going to be well over 50%.
Okay, look, this was a microcosm of the year, what happened on Saturday night, because both teams made 19 threes. Right. But Utah took
44.
8 more than the Clippers did. Right. So the Clippers wound up shooting 53%, and your team wound up shooting 43%, which is not bad. But still, my team makes them more consistently.
Utah needs to take and make more threes than the Clippers, because the Clippers going to shoot a higher percentage. Well, if they're making the same amount and they're shooting a higher percentage, well, what does that tell you? But I'm going to trust Donovan Mitchell. I'm going to trust, because he gave somebody a thumbs up. I don't know if it was D. Wade. I don't know if it was his mom or somebody in the crowd. He gave the thumbs up, says, no, I'm good. I'm good. And he said, there was no sense in him going back in the ball game down 16 in a situation like that. So I agree with him. But they're going to have to come out. The Clippers understand that, Skip, their back's against the wall. They couldn't go down 3-0, Skip.
Could not. Unless that's just how you think.
No, you don't want to, because we've never seen a team come back from 3-0.
Now for my X factor tonight and going forward. There's one player on my team who has been MIA for much of the playoffs, many games through the playoffs, but especially for these Utah games. He is the player I trust the most to make a big shot. And he is 31 years of age, and he has been in this league for 10 years. So he's been there and done all the above. And his name is Marcus Morris Sr.
He struggled the first 3 games.
Struggled is to put it mildly. Marcus Morris Sr. in the first 3 games against Utah is 1 of 16 from 3. He is the real pandemic P, has been Marcus Morris.
Right.
1 of 16, he went 1 for 9 in that game 1 at Utah, 0 for 5 in the next game, and then he decided on Saturday night, maybe I shouldn't shoot very many threes. He tried 2 and missed both of them. 1 for 16.
Yeah.
I'm going to remind everybody, during the regular season, the Clippers led the league in three-point shooting percentage, and leading the Clippers at 47% of his makes. That's almost half of the shots that he took from 3 was Marcus Morris Sr. Against Dallas, he was up and down, but overall he was 17 of 38. So he shot 45% overall against Dallas.
You can live with that.
And in that game 3, from that one far corner over there, right in front of the Dallas bench, he hit 3 in a row in the fourth quarter that just sealed their fate.
Game 3 and 7 justified you getting the 4 years, $64 million. Because
that is correct.
Even though Kawhi was sensational in Game 7, Skip, without Marcus Morris, you're not winning that game, even though Kawhi is playing out of his mind.
And I remind everybody, he was a Knick last year. I'm sorry, 2 years ago. And I think the Knicks have missed him because he's a big shot taker and maker until Utah. He has to snap out of it. History would scream that tonight he will snap out of it. I trust him because I know they trust him. And I know his brother will tell him, his twin brother obviously plays for the Lakers, Markieff. He'll tell him, as he did before Game 7 against the Mavericks, you're that guy. You know, you've done this before. Just shoot it like you mean it.
Yeah.
Well, if he will tonight, and they start to fall, when his shots start to fall, you better look out because this team is lethal.
Well, maybe, Skip, they flip roles. Maybe Reggie Jackson is that guy now. Because we look at the last 3 games of the Dallas series and the first 3 games of this series, he's been sensational.
He has been sensational to the point that he has moved Patrick Beverley out of the starting lineup and barely hanging on in the rotation. But I want to compliment Pat Bev because Saturday, Ty Lue used him in strategic stretches to just bother Donovan Mitchell, just to nag him, just to annoy him, just to irritate him, just to get up in him and clap and pat him on the butt.
Got a couple turnovers from Joe Ingles.
Just do some things that get under people's skin. And so I appreciate that Patrick Beverley is still barely in the rotation, and I hope he gets some reps tonight on Donovan Mitchell just to bother him.
Skip, Reggie Jackson only took 8 shots. He made 6 of them. He was 5 or 6 from 3.
That'll work.
So even though Marcus Morris Sr. might be struggling, Skip, he's doing more than making up the slack because you think about it. Even there were games when he got them back in Game 2. Paul George and Kawhi was struggling. It was Reggie Jackson's 16 points in the third quarter that really kept them close so they can make that run. He's been playing phenomenal. The question is, Skip, moving forward, do you trust Reggie Jackson to keep playing the way he's playing over the last 6 games and Paul George? And I think we're going to talk about Paul George. Do you expect to see another performance like this? Now, what we saw Saturday was the Paul George in Indy when he was going head-to-head with LeBron when LeBron was with the Heat.
Okay. Let me discuss him briefly. Paul George. This is my gut feeling as a Clippers supporter about Paul George. I told you all through the regular season I was seeing a different guy. I was seeing a guy who grew up and faced up to his demons that he faced in the bubble when he got ridiculed for saying that he was mentally crumbling and needed help. And the point is, through the regular season, he took so much verbal abuse from so many. And I just hope the Clippers get to the Suns because his #1 tormentor was Devin Booker. Am I right?
Yep.
So I want to see Pandemic P versus Book in the conference finals because it would be epic. It would be legendary. And my money will be on Paul George to play complimentary star basketball. That's all he's ever been, is the complimentary star. He is the 1A to Kawhi. He is the star to the superstar. And he has lived up to his billing in this series and in these playoffs because I'm going to remind everybody, just in the fourth quarter of the 10 playoff games they've played so far, he's a plus 33. That's pretty sensational. In the fourth quarter, he's shooting 51%, and he's averaged 8 points and 3 rebounds. 4 times in 10 games, he scored in double figures in the fourth quarter. And once again, in the fourth quarter Saturday, he was very good. Kawhi was a little better. But the two of them are hard to beat. If he can just live up to the co-star role, I got you. That's all he has to do. And again, even the one game where he shot 4 for 17, he came up big. He scored 13 in the fourth quarter. So to me, I trust Paul George.
Well, Skip, in the first half on Saturday, Kawhi was 4 of 12. He only had 10 points. And Reggie Jackson and PG was 8 of 12 from the three. They had 34 combined points. So it was really them that spotted them to this lead because Kawhi didn't have it going in the first half. Now, he came on like gangbusters, like we know Kawhi, because we've seen him do this before, Skip. But Reggie Jackson and Paul George kept him ahead in the first half. Reggie Jackson's been some... I mean, now, Skip, he pulling up. I'm like, okay, that's Steph. That's going in. Now he shoots it. I'm thinking it's going to go in.
A lot of swishing.
Ain't no rattling around. No.
They're clean.
Yeah, and deep.
And deep. And it's just effortless.
I'm like, when did Reggie Jackson turn into Steph Curry?
I agree. In the end.
Because, Skip, not to cut you off, but remember, he had falling out of the rotation.
He had. No,
and then put Bam back up in there.
I got it.
Rondo was getting run.
Rondo was getting run.
Now
Rondo's like the forgotten man. I don't even, is he on the team? Oh, he didn't even play again? Oh, that's my guy, playoff Rondo.
And the thing is, what makes us, well, maybe, Skip, they got him all the way at the bottom. You know, normally, he'd be up, okay, coach, they got Coffee and Cousin and Farrell. I'm like, hold on. How Rondo get way down there? They put him down to the end of the bench.
It's by alphabetical order, but that's okay.
No.
I think he belongs there.
No, Skip, you got to let Rondo. You told me you play out Rondo.
I don't get it, but do I still...
Oh, you good with it now, huh?
Do I believe there's a role for him somewhere along this run? Because it's a long, hard stretch here.
It might be against, you never know, it might be against Phoenix. It might be games, if they can stretch it out, it might be a game 6 or game 7. But, I'm sure they're thinking...
Remember, he does not like Chris Paul. And we're going to talk about Chris Paul in a moment because Chris Paul just had the series of his life.
Chris Paul playing out of his mind. Well,
Rondo, remember the spitting incident at Staples early, where are we going?
Last year.
Was 2 years back.
2 years ago, yeah.
Well, maybe they're saving Rondo for Chris Paul to antagonize him.
Get up on the Chris Paul skin.
Yeah. So here we go with Kawhi tonight. It has to be his night because when he comes out like he's got some fresh legs under him, he is hard to deal with because his mid-range is absolutely devastating.
Yeah, but Bogdanovic got to give us more, Skip.
Yep.
2 of 10, 1 of 5. That's not good enough. That's not good enough.
Shannon, it will not be good enough.
Oh, watch him tonight. He'll give us at least 16 tonight.
It's going to be a good one tonight.
Game.
No mercy.
Nikola Jokic was ejected in last night's Game 4 loss to the Suns while making a hard foul on Cameron Payne. The play was reviewed, and the official determined it was a flagrant 2 due to the, quote, wind-up, impact, and follow-through. Many NBA players reacted to the decision on social media, including Ja Morant, who simply tweeted, quote, league soft. So, Shannon, does Jokic's ejection prove the league is soft?
No, the league isn't soft, Skip. It just proves that the officiating is inconsistent. Skip, it's amazing. I'll be laughing at these guys talking about league is soft. How many of you think the guys that's playing right now would really want to play in the 80s and 90s when anything went? Do you actually think y'all gonna be flying through there like y'all flow through there? Do y'all? I guess they didn't see the bad boy Pistons or how the Knicks or how the Heat played back in the day, Skip, or the old Celtics and the Lakers when they literally snatched the other guy out of the air while he's trying to lay the ball up and dunk it.
Yep.
So, but for me, Skip, the league isn't soft. It's just inconsistent. We don't have the level of consistency. And Skip, I pulled a tape because you and I, we talked about this, and you and I both were in agreement that we thought Draymond Green's play on LeBron should have been a flagrant. Take a look at this. Now, they call this a common foul.
Yep.
That was a common foul. They said it was a common foul.
The taboo is to the face or head.
Thank you. Anything to the neck, head, shoulder area is called it's a flagrant one. And if it's a wind-up, as they said, Jokic, that was a common foul.
Yep.
Jokic, I get it, Skip. He is the MVP. It is an elimination game. Now, I'm not so sure, Skip, had they not thrown him out, they would have won the game. But that's another issue for another topic. I don't think he barely grazed the guy. I get the wind up. So if I wind up and I hit the ball because I wound up, you gonna throw me out? No. Give him a flagrant one and we keep it moving. That's what should have happened in that situation. But the league isn't soft. I get it. The league, they tried to do away with that. Fans didn't want to see that rough play. Skip, it's always about scoring. You look at baseball, they try to say, you know what, we tired of all these strikeouts. And we tired of all these pitchers with these no-hitters, so we're going to do away with the foreign substance. The NFL, we tired of all this clutching and grabbing and teams not scoring, so we're going to do away with that. We're going to call it incidental contact. We're going to call it the defensive receiver. And scoring went through the yin-yang, and the fandom went through the yin-yang also. Basketball, what do we see? Now the scoring is up and everybody's loving the NBA all over again. So it's all about scoring. It's all about what the fans want to see, and they don't want to see all that clutching and grabbing and that rough play. But Skip, this was I don't believe they should have thrown Jokic out in this situation. Not the MVP, not for that, because we've seen worse plays get called common fouls or flagrant one. But to rise to the level of an ejection, I didn't think that play warranted that.
Anyone who thinks this league is soft should have watched the first game yesterday, the way the Bucks were allowed to play in a baseball.
Now, that's 80s, 90s basketball.
That was physicality. That was football basketball.
Ask Coddington how you caught an elbow to the eye that had to go downstairs and get it glued or stitched up and come back in the ball game.
Ask Kevin Durant how P.J. Tucker was allowed to defend him. It was football basketball. And I'm fine with that. As long as both teams play that way, if that's the way you're going to play, just let's all go. Let's do it this way. So I felt for Jokic last night because, number one, it was so out of character for him. He doesn't play physical basketball. He's not a football basketball player. He's not a cheap shot artist. There's no roughhouse to his game. He doesn't bang on the boards. That's the opposite of who he is. And he's a gentle soul. He's a gentle giant. He plays all finesse.
Look out when Book ran up on him. He didn't even do nothing. He didn't shove Book like, man, get out my face. You ain't got nothing to do. He was just like.
Because he knew he was wrong. But he was shocked that he was ejected. Because when you make this call, look, they are trying to protect the head. And it started with your sport because of all the CTE problems. So it trickles down to basketball, and they say, well, we don't want those lawsuits either. So we have to somehow legislate the headshots out of our game. So we have to make that a flagrant one, bordering on a flagrant two if you actually wind up and follow through and connect with the head, face, neck area, And yet in this case, you have to govern the sport with some perspective, because you have to stand back from it and say, wait a second, does he have any track record here?
Thank you.
He has no track record.
None.
And is he the MVP of the? Yes. He was just blessed with the MVP award. He got it before the previous game on, what was it, Friday night in Denver. Well, we all know he's the MVP. So you have a closeout game. They're playing desperate, and you're going to eject him?
In his building.
In his building? That's just craziness. That's where you have over-officiated. You've gone over the edge into letter of the law.
Correct.
No. I thought it was a flagrant one, but not a flagrant two. And the shock of that, and everybody said it on both sides. Everybody was shocked. Like Michael Malone said, I did not think it was a non-basketball play with malicious intent. Well, neither did I. But it was frustration, and it started, if we could see what happened on the play before, that's it. He thought he is a little.
He thought he got fouled. He thought he got fouled by Ayton.
And that was about the fifth time he thought he got fouled. So here he is, and he's just frustrated. They're down 8 at this point, 3:53 left in the third quarter, and he just says, "Okay, I've had enough of this." And as he said after the game, I wanted to change the rhythm of the game. I wanted to give us some energy, maybe change the whistle a little bit. So I wanted to make a hard foul. Well, this is the intent is just to get the ball right. It was an intentional type foul, but he's just going to slap at the ball. And by the way, he did get hand on basketball, right? He raked his face. He grazed his face. I don't think it felt great to Cameron Payne. I think he did hit him in the nose, but I don't think he intended to hit him in the nose.
No.
So Jokic is in shock because he's not one to wind up in an altercation, like a physical altercation.
And that was the thing, Skip. Even before, if you notice, Book is standing right there. Book walks up on him, and Jokic just like what?
He didn't know what
this right here. Anybody else, Book would have walked up on him. They'd have shoved Book ass out their face. Like, get out my face.
Hey, he knows he's wrong, but he's trying to, like, stand up for himself. But Devin Booker is the baller on that team. So is Chris Paul. But obviously, when it comes to protecting teammates,
and I got no problem with Book then. I got no problem because that's my guy. Yes,
I am so with you on that. He did not deserve a technical foul for that.
Right.
Now you're trying to legislate anything out, right? Like to make sure you had it all off the pass, like it's going to go crazy, go over the edge.
But even when I saw it, Skip, I was like, damn, what the hell was that? Because I had never seen him do anything like that before. So I knew he was frustrated. He didn't get the call. And there were, like you mentioned, like you said, there were several times earlier he thought he had gotten contact from Ayton, or he had thought he had gotten fouled, and the refs didn't call it. So he's like, okay, y'all don't want to call a foul? Okay, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to give you a reason to blow your whistle. Since you won't blow it for me, you'll blow it for the other guy. So this is what I'm going to do.
And as Devin Booker said after the game, all I was saying is, what are you doing?
Right.
Because he said, I've been playing against him a long time, and he's not that guy.
Right.
So Book is saying, I'm just saying, what are you doing?
But Skip, if Booker knows he's not that guy, what about the officials that see him on a nightly basis? Don't they know he's not that guy?
Yeah. Come on. What's his track record?
Yes.
It's been, I think, 3 years since he was ejected from a game.
Right.
I don't even know how that happened. But the point was that when all was said and done, he's ejected, he trots back out on the court, and he quickly apologized to Cameron Payne and, rubbed him on the head a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
Skip, if that was Dennis Rodman, if that was Bill Laimbeer, I'd like, Skip, you got to get him up out of here. Because you know Bill Laimbeer, that's his MO. Bill Laimbeer do that. He wouldn't even go for the ball. He literally try to slug somebody upside the head. Okay, I get that. But history, Skip, what's his history? What's his reputation? Is that him? No. We've seen nothing in his past that says, you know what? This guy's malicious. This guy's intentional. He does these kind of things with intent. No, none of that.
So, in the end, I don't think they were going to win this game anyway.
No.
And in the end, big picture, it boils down to they did not have Jamal Murray. It's as simple as that. So, did I think for sure they were going to get swept? I thought there was a shot they were going to get swept, but Phoenix last night just said, absolutely no, we need the rest. We want this worse than you do.
Skip, I watched this series closely, and I watched the last series. We got to be careful of evaluating guys on bad teams and thinking they're good. Because Aaron Gordon was awful.
He was awful.
There's no way around it. He was terrible. And people look at Orlando. Ooh, just imagine if he got with a good team. Well, he got with a damn good team, and he brought it down because he was a no-show all 4 games.
Okay. So what did we hear from our man Chris Haynes, reporting for TNT? We have him on the show occasionally. So going back a couple of games, he reported that after they got routed in game 1 by Phoenix, that the 2 guys who stood up and reamed out the team were Aaron Gordon and JaMychal Green. Okay, well, they're both new to the team. So wait a second. Those are your 2 new leaders who just joined the team? Jokic doesn't stand up. He's not a verbal leader.
No, that's not him.
Maybe Jamal Murray would have,
right. but he's hurt.
He's hurt. And then he reported last night that JaVale McGee reamed him out after game 3. Well, JaVale's decorated because he won his couple rings.
Got 2 in Golden State, 1 with the Lakers.
Okay.
Been in the league a while.
But he's not even in the rotation.
Right.
So he got in late last night, but he'd been DNPing.
Well.
Yeah. But my point is, now you got internal problems. And I told you what I think of Michael Malone's post-game rants. They're contrived. They're tricked up. He's playing to the crowd. Remember, that they lose and he says you're soft. They lose and he says you quit. Well, Jokic said, well, I didn't quit. Maybe he was trying to show his coach last night, I'm not going to quit in this game.
Right.
So I think that team had some internal combustion to it, where it was starting to come apart at the seams without Jamal Murray.
Skip, look at it on paper. Phoenix is just better.
Yeah, without Jamal Murray.
Right. Jokic is the best player, but he can't beat Book. He can't beat CP3. He can't beat Ayton. He can't beat Bridges and Jay Crowder playing the way they play. He can't.
No, Michael Porter Jr. is a talented kid, but he doesn't seem like a tough guy.
His basketball knowledge of the game, he's tremendous. He can shoot. He can do a lot of things. But sometimes I'm like, bruh.
And by the way, Chris Haynes also reported they were hunting him on defense. Wherever he was, they attacked him.
You saw that? Bill Book said, no, not him. Him.
Yep.
Really, bruh? I mean, let that sink in. You 6'10". This dude is 6'5", 6'6". Maybe, okay, we'll give Book a 6'5", 6'6". He said, nah, I don't want the guy that's my height on me. Yeah. I want the tall guy.
Yeah, that's true. Well, good night, Denver.
Yeah, big congrats to the Suns. But let's move on to the other game yesterday because Kyrie Irving went down in Game 4 with a sprained ankle in the second quarter and did not return. Giannis and the Bucks capitalized with a 107-96 win to even the series at 2 games each. Now, Steve Nash said the Nets are, quote, crossing their fingers about Kyrie, while Brooklyn is hopeful that James Harden can make his return at some point this series. Now, Shannon, if Kyrie is out for a while, are the Nets done?
No. This shouldn't have. It's not about Kyrie. It's not about James Harden. This is about the best player in the NBA. This is about the best player on the planet. If he is what everybody says he is, he will win this series.
Are you acknowledging
No. Hold on. It is my turn. You told me I could talk.
Well, I want to make sure what you were saying, that he is the best player on the planet?
No, that's what you say. If he is what Skip Bayless and others have proclaimed him to be, it does not matter that Kyrie's not there. It does not matter that Harden is not there. This is Kevin Durant's opportunity to show, because he's never been asked to do this in the last 5 years. He has not played without being on a super team. He had it in Golden State for 3 years. He has another one now. So now they're going to ask Kevin Durant. It's going to be funny. For the very first time in 5 years, Kevin Durant's going to walk on the court, and all of a sudden, he's not going to have 3 of the top 5 players. He's not going to have 4 of the top 5 players. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. And we're about to find out there's level to greatness, because a lot of people just define greatness as being able to score the basketball, the efficiency in which one can put it in. Now they're going to ask Kevin Durant, KD, we need 30 to 40, but we also need you to get us about 11, 12 rebounds. And also we need you to facilitate this offense and get others involved. So can you give us 8 to 12 assists? Now we're going to see. Because that's what LeBron has had to do his entire career, something Kevin Durant has never had to do. He's always had a point guard or someone facilitating the offense for him, be it Kyrie, James Harden, be it Russell Westbrook, be it Draymond Green or Steph Curry. Now is the opportunity that you said, whoa. So it's not about the other guy. It's not about who's not there. It's about who is there. And that guy that you said is the best is his opportunity right now. And this is not even a super team. I don't think anybody thinks Milwaukee's a super team. We asked LeBron to do this against super teams. So Kevin Durant, this is your opportunity to prove Skip Bayless right or prove Skip Bayless wrong.
By the way, whatever happened to LeBron James?
He's out of playoff. Happens.
Oh, it happened? I don't know what happened to him. I was thinking the other night, where did he wind up?
You see what happened?
Did he go back to acting?
You see what happened?
I don't know what happened.
NBA, I hope you're happy. LeBron James, Anthony Davis, Kyrie Irving, James Harden, all some of your best players. How that's going to look, Skip Bayless? 10 of your, 5, 6 of your best. Donovan Mitchell's limping. 5 of your top 10 players. Injuries.
Don't forget Ibaka. Clippers can use Ibaka.
No. Man, he brought him. He on the cooking show.
He was a starter.
He hurt his back lifting a cast iron pan.
He may have. You may be right. So, I will agree with you. Kevin Durant is now on stage in the spotlight. It's your time. It's your turn. But I'm going to remind you, the other team has a 2-time MVP, a guy who leads the league in PER like every other year.
It doesn't matter. You said it doesn't matter.
The other team has 2 guys who have made all-star teams in Middleton and Drew Holiday. Am I right?
Are you making excuses?
No, I'm just, we need your favorite word, context here. So he's up against a team all by himself that has a 2-time MVP and 2 other all-stars. Am I correct about that?
So when Kevin Durant was on Golden State with Steph Curry, Clay, and Draymond, and LeBron was going up against them, what did they have?
Well, who did LeBron have?
Nobody. He had J.R. Smith, Tristan Thompson, Kevin Love, Channing Frye, Iman Shumpert. Okay, you want me to keep Jordan Clarkson, Larry Nance Jr. You want me to keep going?
Boy, that's 6th man of the year.
Oh, hold on. Let me get this right. George Hill. So what do you think is harder? What Kevin Durant is asked to do right now, or what you asked LeBron to do in the finals?
Oh, I think this is harder. Well, it is because it's sudden. All of a sudden, they had a big 3, and they were the prohibitive favorite. And now, all of a sudden, they go home, and they're 3.5-point underdogs at home in Game 5. right?
What?
So what has happened on the fly? Well, the injury god said no to both Kyrie and James Harden. James Harden, they keep saying, is progressing. Well, I don't know what that means because it's the same hamstring that kept him out like the second half
Like
of
20
the year.
games.
Yeah. So do I trust that he's suddenly, and Steve Nash said after the game, hey, you know, I'm not going to rush James back just because we don't have Kyrie, and you can't. You got to let him stay on his own schedule.
Back. If James Harden could go, James Harden would be out there playing. James Harden is not healthy enough to play.
Okay, so do I think Kyrie's going to have a miraculous recovery? I do not. Do I think James is going to start and play the whole game in game 5? I do not.
Skip. Kyrie walked off the court. Remember how you say LeBron walked off the court? He should have. So
LeBron was gone for like 3 months.
Yeah, okay. Well, Kyrie should be back tomorrow.
Well, did Kyrie keep playing in the game?
Kyrie should be back tomorrow. He walked off the court. You told me that LeBron.
I saw LeBron James make a shot from the corner and trot up the court, and then he was gone for 7 weeks. Okay. And I said, how could that be?
So under your circumstances, Kyrie should be back, what, Wednesday?
Well, a couple of weeks.
No,
a
couple of weeks. Wednesday.
Okay. Well, I hope he is, but I doubt he will be. So do you. So you think, oh, it's all about Kevin Durant.
No. I don't want Skip. I hate a lot of times playoffs of Skip about what? Injury.
Okay. So I'm going to remind you, Kevin Durant is not a point guard. He does not have the basketball in his hands.
He's about to.
The court. Well, he may have to. They're going to have to revamp their whole approach on offense in 48 hours because the starting point guard is named Mike James. And only recently he was on a 10-day contract with the Brooklyn Nets. And before that, he has bounced all over Europe. He's played in Russia. He's played in Greece. He's played in Israel. He's played in Spain. And finally, he came back to the NBA. And I think he's not bad.
Yeah.
He's fearless. But is he that good? Is he Kyrie? Well, obviously he's not Kyrie. And so he's going to have to initiate an offense that is going to have to now suddenly be geared to getting Kevin Durant some looks that he could not get against P.J. Tucker yesterday.
What's the biggest thing that crushed players? Expectations. What are your expectations from Mike James versus the expectations when you had Kyrie and James Harden? Now the expectations are totally different. Mm-hmm. You expecting him to give you 10, 12, 14 points, shell out 5, 7 assists, rebound the ball when necessary.
Okay.
So the expectations of Mike James have changed. Mm-hmm. Has he changed as a player? Just because your expectations of a player change, that doesn't make him different.
Okay. So P.J. Tucker was allowed to do a brilliant job on Kevin Durant yesterday. He was allowed to by the referees who let him play football as much as basketball.
Blocked the shot. Chris Middleton blocked the shot. You didn't mention that, Skip, because I know when LeBron James had his shot blocked by Gavinia, and you just talked about it. Show that.
Yeah, it was at the Garden.
Yeah.
It was to win the game.
That was it right there, the Harley-Davidson Center, wherever they played in Milwaukee, whatever it's called.
So I would like to read a quote from Steve Nash after the game, if we could show the quote also.
He's barely aching.
This is about P.J. Tucker. Steve Nash said he's playing extremely physical and made it difficult. That's his role on their team, and I thought it was borderline non-basketball physical at times, but that's the playoffs. You have to adapt and adjust. Something definitely, in a sense, changed from the way the game was played in Brooklyn and here in Milwaukee.
Oh, you tried to
They let them play football in Milwaukee, and they did not in those first 2 games in Brooklyn. And in game number 2, Brooklyn was ahead by 49 points on that same team that won yesterday.
Physical.
49
You got to hit that Olivia Newton-John on Let's Get Physical.
Okay.
How'd that work out for you, Skip?
How do you know that song?
I know it.
How do you know that song? That's from like the 80s.
80s it is, Skip.
How do you know that? Let's Get Physical?
Yeah, that's what Doug said.
You actually listen to that song?
I listen to it, yes.
That's a jukebox from hell song for me. I'm sorry. That's where it belongs. So the point is that if we could see what started happening, Kevin Durant went 1 for 8 from 3 because Tuck, as they call him, was beating. He was fighting through the pick every time, and between him and Middleton, they were all up into Kevin Durant. Here are his misses. I don't know what you're doing there. And then here's Tuck. He banged him on the side and got away with it. And here he goes again on Tuck, and he runs through him and by him, and it bothered him.
Skip, I don't like the body language. You know, when LeBron James does that, you say you don't like the body language.
This is Chris Middleton.
You say the body language, Skip. You say you don't like the body language of Kevin Durant.
He looks intimidated by the physicality.
What is that body language?
Intimidated by the... Is that not a foul? He's looking around like, that's not a foul? That was the last one in the fourth quarter. And Nash took him out after that. He went 0 for 4 in the fourth quarter and missed that 1-3, and that's a foul. James Harden gets that call in his sleep. Am I right?
Whoa. Hold on. What would you say? I need you to read those Kevin Durant numbers again in the fourth quarter.
Okay, 0 for 4 in the fourth quarter. Could we now look at what he did in the third quarter,
No,
please?
that doesn't matter. You told me that doesn't matter.
He went best player on the planet in the third quarter on one P.J. Tucker and scored 16 points on P.J. Tucker in the third and cut it down to a nice little deficit where they could have done it until Chris Middleton goes down at the buzzer and hits a bomb 3, made it back to 12. It was down to 9. They had a shot at 9.
I thought you told me the fourth quarter is the money quarter.
Yep.
Because I've seen LeBron have great first, second, and third.
Yep.
But when it comes time to close, you said LeBron isn't a closer. He is.
Yep.
That's what you can repeat over and over, that Kevin Durant is the closer. Well, he didn't close. Guess what happened, Skip? The other night, game 3, he didn't close.
All right. I'll put my due where my mouth is. I got, silly me, I got Brooklyn in game 5 back in Brooklyn because of Kevin Durant.
I got Bucks.
Okay, well, I get the points.
No.
I get 3.5. Well, that's what it is.
No. You at home.
What are you talking about?
You at home.
Oh, they're 3. They don't have Kyrie or Harden.
Hold up.
And by the way, I don't even know if they're going to have Blake Griffin because mysteriously he sits through the whole fourth quarter with his warm-up top on, and Steve Nash says after the game, no, he's fine. I just decided to go small. You did? He's the only guy who can guard Giannis.
Well, Skip, you talking about you going small. You make it seem like Blake is 7'1". Blake is small. Even if you play Blake at the center, he's small.
I completely agree. I'll give him maybe 6'10". I don't even know if he's 6'10".
I'm like, small. How small you want to go?
I don't know. So I don't know. Is something wrong with him? Maybe.
Does he realize that Kevin Durant is taller than Blake Griffin?
So I will take the 3.5 for 3 cases. 3.5 points for 3 cases.
You're at home. No, well, first of all,
why don't you have the courage of your convictions?
Time out, Skip. Time out. Let me get a 20-second timeout. Let's talk this over. Why would I give you 3.5 points with the best player on the planet?
Because he doesn't have any help.
No, it doesn't, Skip. He's the best player. You constantly told me.
LeBron's infamous quote, we're top-heavy as you know what? Well, now they're real top-heavy. They got 1 star.
What excuses did you make when LeBron didn't have AD the final 2 games? Did you say anything?
Well, he went 1 for 8 against playoff teams without AD.
Okay, so now, have that same energy.
I'll take the 3.5, but that's
you
like...
get nothing.
I probably deserve 9
You'll
points.
get nothing and like it.
Yep. Come on. Well, you can sleep on it. We got until tomorrow.
Skip, you ought to be ashamed of yourself.
No, you should be ashamed of yourself. Skip. You don't have the guts because you know you're betting against Kevin bleeping Durant.
That's what I'm saying. Skip, you don't come out here and you want points for the best player on the planet?
They're up against it at home. I don't know if they're going to let P.J. Tucker play whatever he plays.
He's playing basketball.
Sumo wrestling.
We're playing basket.
Yeah,
that's what we play. Basketball, Skip. Yeah. And tell Steve Nash to stop crying. He's trying to get calls. He's trying to already get 2 fouls on P.J. Tucker before the ball is even tossed up in the air.
I would like to see that.
Why would you like to see that? No, Skip, let him play.
Yep.
Let him play.
You're going to see a whole new offense in this game.
I want to see.
I'll take the 3.5 to 3 cases. I'm going to give these cases back. I'm up against it.
I want Kevin Durant to have the burden for the entirety of the playoffs that LeBron James has been faced with the majority of his career.
He's now going to have even more of a burden because he doesn't have all-star Kevin Love.
When's the last time Kevin Love been an all-star?
Well,
before he got to Cleveland.
Yep.
So don't do that.
Perennial.
But now, hold on. You see the concessions that you make? Now, you expected LeBron James to win games against KD, Steph, Klay.
Why are we talking about LeBron James? I don't even know what happened to him.
Because you're best player on the planet and you making excuses. You don't have Kyrie. He doesn't have James Harden.
Wait, did they pull Space Jam 2 because he's out of the playoffs?
Space Jam 2 going to be a blockbuster.
Is
300
it going to be
mil.
out there?
300 mil.
Really?
300 mil.
Well, nobody's going to go see it now because he's not even in the playoffs.
That's okay.
Poor man.
They're still going to watch it. Bet you do #1 at the box office.
Really?
Over #1, 100 mil.
There's only one Space Jam, and I've seen it numerous times.
I'm gonna go see. I've seen Space Jam, and I'm gonna see Space Jam 2, the new beginning.
I am excited for Space Jam 2. No mercy. Le'Veon Bell is a free agent and made it clear he won't be returning to Kansas City. Saturday, the running back responded to a comment on Instagram saying, quote, "I'd never play for Andy Reid again. I'd retire first. Yesterday on Twitter, Bell tried to clarify his comment. He tweeted, quote, I said what I said, and I don't regret at all what I said. For those who have a personal problem with me because of what I said, that's fine. You have your right. Just remember, I also have my right for how I feel about my personal problem with the dude because of what he said to me. So, Shannon, do you like anything about Le'Veon's explanation?
No, you said what you said, then why try to clarify it, Skip? You said what you said. You said you have a right to your opinion. Okay, you voice your opinion. Keep it moving. But it seems to me an advisor or an agent got to him and like, this is not looking good for your prospects of getting on another team, because you do realize how Andy Reid is revered around the league.
Yeah.
Skip, Andy Reid was my brother's offensive coordinator in Green Bay.
Yep.
So I know Red a little bit, been around him, met his wife several times, even the kids when they were really, really small. Skip, I have yet to hear a player publicly or privately say anything bad about Andy Reid.
Thank you.
Skip, I can't say to everybody. I'm sure there's some people that have had some problems with him. But everybody that I've talked to that's played with him, played for him, has nothing but good things to say.
Yep.
Le'Veon said he would rather retire. Hell, I thought you retired 2 years ago. Did he not see the tape of him in New York? There's a reason why you got to Kansas City. The Jets paid you a ton of money. Le'Veon, bro, wake up. If you were still that dude, you would still be in New York. You're not looking like the old Le'Veon. You're looking like an old Le'Veon.
Yep.
Not the Le'Veon of old.
Yep.
And for you, what? I wouldn't go back to Kansas City. Bro, you didn't get no snaps in the championship game or the Super Bowl. What makes you think they're going to want you back? Do you realize teams that got their roster set, they go into camp with who they're going with? Now, maybe something unforeseen would happen, an injury happens, they'll give you a call. But I don't get this. I don't. Skip, if you feel that way, do you know that these other teams around the league, so what? You trying to get a job, Skip. The very day you trying to get employed in the league, and you taking shots at somebody that gave you an opportunity.
Yep.
I don't get it. But Skip, something happened about 3 years ago, and it took me totally by surprise. In my 14 years of playing and all my years of covering the league, I had never heard teammates come out against another teammate when it comes to contract, because the one thing you stay out of is a man contract and his family issue.
Never seen anything like it.
I've never seen it.
Nope.
And for
You're
them,
talking about the Steelers.
Steelers.
Yep.
And for them so adamant.
They turned on him.
To side with the organization.
They did.
I was like, well, what's going on? But it offers you a glimpse. It offers you insight to how he viewed in his own locker room. Le'Veon, bro, what happened? What happened? You keep it moving. Say, hey, I think the Kansas City Chiefs for giving me an opportunity. That wasn't the best fit for me. I think it's best that, I try to find employment somewhere else. Keep it like that. But for you to take the stance that you took, bro, I don't know how you expect to get another job.
Which brings me to my conclusion. Le'Veon might have just social posted his way right out of football. Talking about retiring, he might have just retired himself, because the rest of the league is going to look at this. He went after Andy Reid? He tried to blame Andy Reid? You barked up the wrong tree.
Yes.
Man. And, yeah, let's go back to what you said. 2017, Le'Veon had a great year. He and I have gone back and forth on different things. He's blasted me. That's fine. But he backed it up in 2017. He was first team All-Pro as a Pittsburgh Steeler. And he thought he was going to command the sun and the moon. And that's when his teammates started to publicly turn on him. Black players on the Steelers turned on Le'Veon. I was just I've never seen anything like it before, because you are messing with that man's money.
Correct.
What? There had to be some reason that they did not like or even want him as a teammate anymore.
Now, I don't skip. Now, just for clarity, I don't agree with how they handled that situation.
I got it. I don't either. In the big picture, you broke all kinds of unwritten.
No matter how you think of a man, don't bother them. Don't mess with that man's money.
Okay, I got it. You're correct. But he winds up sitting out 2018 on principle for his money.
That's $14 million that he left on the table.
The Jets said, okay, we'll take a shot. And they gave him his money.
Yes.
Maybe not exactly what he wanted, but it was pretty good.
Right.
And he played 15 games that year for the Jets. They're a bad football team, but he had by far his worst season. He was 3.2 yards a carry. It's just no good. And then he fell completely out of favor in 2020 and played 2 games for the Jets and got cut and wound up with Andy Reid. And it looked like he was the answer to their problem because they didn't have that big banger back. Right? Mm-hmm. Edwards-Helaire,
it got hurt
from the start. You just thought he's just a little too little in short yardage goal line. You need somebody who can bring some impact to the offense. And they thought, well, we got the guy.
Right.
And it just didn't work. He started 2 games. He played in 9. In the 2 starts against your Broncos, he had 11 carries for 40 yards. That's 3.6. And then he got 7 carries against Atlanta for 30 yards. Is 4.3. But he wasn't catching the ball on top of it. And to your point, we got all the way to the AFC Championship game. He didn't dress for that game. He didn't even dress. He dressed for the Super Bowl, but didn't play a snap in the Super Bowl. Okay? So now, as usual, it's been his history. He blames everybody but himself. So he was just answering somebody on IG going back and forth, which is a dangerous game to play, you know.
Skip, I give you the same situation.
Yep.
The year before, the same thing happened to one guy named LaShawn Shady McCoy.
Yeah, it did.
He kept his mouth shut.
Same team.
Same team. Mm-hmm. He kept his mouth shut, and what happened, Skip?
Won a ring.
Went to Tampa.
Yep.
Didn't barely play, and got an opportunity to get another year in the league, got another payday, and got another Super Bowl ring.
He did.
Because he kept his mouth shut.
He did.
You go in there because you, and guess what? Them like, yeah, Le'Veon, you your own man. Gassing him up.
They are gassing him up on social. They
yes.
are. Yeah.
Bro, you better understand. Bro, you got to understand. Those people that are gassing you up would love to be in the position that you're in.
Yep.
You think everybody that like and click your stuff like you. Mm-hmm. Bro, y'all better that ain't reality.
So in just a quick toss-off, don't hit send response, he says, I'd rather retire than play for Andy Reid again. And, of course, the Internet went crazy with that. It was trending all day long.
Yes.
So he sleeps on it, and you may be right. An advisor may have said, you got to explain yourself on this one. So he tries, but he doesn't back off his premise. You know, I'll never play for Andy Reid again.
So what you apologizing for?
Okay, but then he suggests that his personal problem with Andy Reid, with dude, because of what he said to me. What he said to you? Okay, so in this day and age, I can't help but leap to a conclusion, perhaps that...
Bro, you ain't got it no more.
Okay, but again, is it possible that the white coach said something to the black player that offended him along racial lines? Not Andy Reid, not to my knowledge.
It's hard for me to imagine that, but Skip, I wasn't there, so I don't want to speak for Andy.
What's the book on Andy Reid? Why did he ultimately fail in Philadelphia, according to most people around the situation? He was too good to the players. He was too soft, too nice.
Show up on time and work.
Right.
Those are Andy rules.
And there was no hard, tough off-season program. They didn't practice hard. They weren't pushed hard enough. Well, that'll work if you have Patrick Mahomes at quarterback, because I'm sure the Chiefs would tell you he's a joy to play for.
A lot of people say T.O. was terrible, but Andy Reid speaks glowingly of T.O. T.O. and vice versa.
That's true.
Andy said, I'm just sorry that we weren't able to make it work.
Yeah, T.O. got into it with the coordinator who's
he got into it with Brad Childress.
Yes.
He had no problem with Andy.
Yep.
Andy, like, y'all need to handle that. But once it got to the point that, you know, he felt that T.O. was being disrespectful to Childress,
yes,
that he's like, that's enough, T.O.
He finally had to send him home.
Right.
He did.
But for the longest time, Andy was like, y'all work this out. That's too good of a player.
Right.
I'm not going to just send him home because y'all had a little altercation, beef, because I've been in the league long enough and no position coaches and players have get into things.
And by the way, until it all blew up, Donovan and T.O., they're pretty great together.
They were the best connection in football.
Yeah, one of the best all time together until those two fell completely apart.
Right.
Obviously.
I just, Skip, I don't get it. When you're in the league, you have to think about, especially when you say something that's going to, especially certain coaches. You can't, you just can't just willy-nilly just throw things out there. When that guy's resume is impeccable with how he's been with the players. I just don't get it. I just don't know. What did he hope to accomplish? Oh, he think, hey, man, this is what I did right here, man. I'm so upset with how my time was in Kansas City. Yeah. I would rather retire.
Man, I got to tell you, if you look at going from 2017 first team All-Pro to what it is now, this is one of the most shocking falls we've ever seen, from greatness to you might be out of the league.
But, Skip, when you look at it, look how many carries He was at that 400 threshold.
Yeah.
That's a point of no return. There have been very, very, very few backs that has ever gone to that number. You look at Eddie George when it happened to him. You look at DeMarco Murray when it happened to him. You go back and look at people just at home. Only Eric Dickerson. TD went 392, was never the same. Jamal Anderson went 400, was never the same.
Nope.
Eddie George. You go back and look at it. Once you get to those 400 touches, that's a point of no return. Very few guys. Eric Dickerson really is the only guy. I think Eric Dickerson did it, and James Wilder went there and then had big seasons after. So the likelihood of Le'Veon ever being what he was is slim to nil.
And yet he, in February, turned 29 years of age. But that's what happens to running backs, right?
When you get those amount of touches, Skip, because you got to realize he was carrying the ball 300, 310 times, getting 70, 80, 90 catches. That's a lot of hits. That's a lot of hits.
Well, I hope he knows what he's doing, but he is on some real thin ice with this league right now.
He better, his rap career better take off. Because his football career, he might have ended his football career.
Feels like a sad ending to his football career. I hope it's not. I'm really putting out all that energy for him that it's not, but it's trending that way.
No mercy.
Chris Paul beat out LeBron in the first round on a bad shoulder and then moved on to sweep the Nuggets and MVP Nikola Jokic. Now, it's the first time the MVP has been swept since '89, and CP3 finished last night's game with 37 points on 14 of 19 shooting and a perfect 9 for 9 from the line. So, Shannon, how much has this playoff run done to enhance his legacy?
It's helping because he's playing so well. Skip, he's not going along for the ride. Normally when guys get this age, Skip, they get on a team, they go along for a great ride. He won a championship, but he didn't really contribute. Chris Paul is the main reason that they're doing this. He's averaging 25 and 10. Skip, I didn't know he had that many points until I was scrolling. I looked at it. I was like, Chris Paul had 37? Like, damn. When? How? Now, the third quarter, Skip, he normally gets it going. And that's been their takeoff for the Suns. Every third quarter, whatever lead they got, they expand upon it. Going into the fourth quarter, they got double-digit leads, and the Nuggets were never able to catch up. Chris Paul, Skip, he was getting his dribble. He goes to his right, and he elevates, and that mid-range was unstoppable. But I guess the analytics
Does he really elevate?
Yeah, he elevates, Skip. I mean, because he jumping, he elevates for him.
Like maybe gets 4 inches off the floor?
Nah, he elevates. Chris Paul elevates. I'm like, damn, look at CP3. But the analytics guys going to say, well, Chris, if you really want to be special, you should do that, go beyond the three-point line. Chris said, no, I'm fine right here. Skip, 14 of 19, 9 of 9. Now, I'm not surprised by the 9 of 9 because he did lead the NBA in free throw percentage. So I'm not surprised by that.
No.
But for him to play the way he's playing at his age, Skip, because a lot of people had written him off. Man, he can't. The injuries seem like every time we get to a playoff run, something happens. Chris Paul said, I don't want to hear nothing about no injuries. Because have y'all seen what happened to me in my playoff career? I got a hamstring, I hurt my shoulder, I twisted my ankle. Something was always going on. So I ain't crying for AD. I ain't crying for Jamal Murray. I wish them speedy recoveries for the next season, but it's about time my team have some good fortune and everybody else understands what I've been going through when I've been banged up. But Skip is helping a lot. Now, he ain't catching magic. Mike Malone is a prisoner of the moment, Skip. Arguably, he's the great. No, he's not. You ain't arguing with nobody. Ain't nobody ever gonna say Chris Paul is better than Magic Johnson. I'm not finna get, and I think he's played unbelievable these playoffs. But there weren't very many playoffs in Magic's career that he didn't play well. Even if you just take Magic his first playoff run, that's enough to keep Magic Johnson in the #1 spot, Skip. Because I don't think people realize what he actually did. Played all 5 positions. Now, he can play, Skip, you hear that all the time. Well, he can guard all 5 positions. He can play all 5 positions. I don't need somebody to tell me that Magic could do that because I saw him do it. It was taped delayed, I saw it the next day, but I saw him do that. So for me, Chris, this is greatly enhancing. Now, if you really want to cap it off and possibly get into that top 5 point guard, my top 5 for what it's worth, he capped this off with a championship, Skip, regardless of who he goes through and who might be nicked up. Because 10 years from now, ain't nobody going to remember it. Because people don't remember that Magic hamstring and Byron Scott's hamstring fell off the bone when they lost to the Pistons.
I was there.
Nobody cares, Skip. Nobody 5 years from now is going to remember that the Kansas City Chiefs started 4 backups in the Super Bowl. All they know, the Bucks won.
I don't remember that right now.
Exactly. Yeah, that's how it works, Skip. You know that's how it works. Nobody cares about injury, who was hurt. All they know is if CP3 and them were to finish this thing off, the way we view him will be completely different.
First of all, Michael Malone is speaking post-game just to keep his job. So he's dismissing his team as they quit, they're soft, and then he says Chris Paul's better than Magic Johnson. So it's like excuse, another excuse. He did coach Chris at New Orleans early on. He was an assistant on those teams.
Right.
So he does have some connection with him, so I appreciate that part of it. I have been hugely impressed with Chris, more than ever impressed with Chris Paul. But all he has done is put himself in position to make a huge statement.
Yes.
Because now he's right where he needs to be with the NBA. He's gotten the NBA's
all
attention.
that's going to be on him.
Yeah, it's all there for you in the conference final and, with any luck for them, in the NBA finals.
Correct.
Which would be his first.
Yes.
So he has a chance to make his legacy. There's also a chance you would continue to break your legacy if you don't come up huge the way you just did. So let's keep this whole playoffs in some perspective. What happened right on cue in Game 1 against the Lakers at Phoenix? He got hurt. He always gets hurt. And we're like, well, here we go again.
Yes.
And it was weird because he got some stinger in his shoulder, but you'd think it just came and went.
Right.
But it seemed to linger.
Right. It stayed for a couple of days.
It stayed for a couple of games. And so the first game, he wasn't very good even before the stinger came. And then in Game 2, he was pretty pathetic. And Game 3, he didn't do much. Finally, in Game 4, he came up bigger because it looked like he got
the 48 hours recovery.
Yeah, and plus he started to trust that I'm really okay. I can actually shoot the basketball the way I used to. And he had 18, 3 rebounds, and 9 assists in Game 4, which was a big turnaround game for them because they won it after you guys had won it back-to-back.
Because that tied the series up.
That tied the series up. And then here he went and had just okay numbers in Game 5 and 6. He was 9, 4, and 6, 8, 2, and 12. He did have 12 assists in the closeout game, but not 37 points, right? So there's nothing. So here's what he averaged against your Lakers in 6 games. 9 points, 4 boards, 8 assists.
Right.
Well, that's
ho-hum numbers.
They're ho-hum. They're not
Skip, those are numbers you expect from a 36-year-old. Okay. Not 25 and 10, shooting 63% from the field, 6 of 8 from 3, and 22 and 22 from the free throw line.
Okay, and we can attribute much of it to his shoulder or whatever it was, but he shot 39% from the floor in those 6 games.
Right.
And he was 2 of 10 from 3. Okay, well, that's not beyond Magic Johnson kind of numbers.
Stop.
But here he goes. And here comes the Nuggets. And to your point, Michael Malone and staff never could quite figure out how to defend the pick and roll because Ayton would come out and pick for CP3 and get him. He would pick over here so that he could come off with his right hand. Because if you let him go right hand dribble and get to the elbow, that's all he needs to do. If he gets one step on you and gets to the elbow, you're done.
He's going to elevate and shoot it.
He's going to make that shot because he's got that little, it's somewhere between a 15 and 10-foot jump shot.
Yeah.
And it was an extinct shot for point guards. It just is prehistoric. Like nobody even tried to shoot that shot. It just didn't fit. It didn't fit in the analytics because they'd say, well, just pull up and shoot a 3.
Correct.
Right? Well, he's shooting 2, 2, 2, 2, and he's just 2-ing you to death with that little jumper. And he torched them. So look at what started happening in these 4 games against Denver. Game 1, he scores 21. Game 2, 17. Game 3, 27. And Game 4, 37. Right. Well, where did that come from?
With no 3s attempted.
No 3s attempted. Because he just said, I'm not going to do that anymore.
I don't need a 3.
So he averaged 26, 5 boards, and 10 assists. So to your point, 26 and 10 assists in 4 games of a sweep against the Nuggets. Should we blame some of that on the Nuggets? Maybe. Yeah. Maybe because they just didn't defend it.
Right.
I don't know why.
They have no guards.
Maybe they don't have somebody. Would Jamal Murray have been a better defender?
Jamal Murray can would D up.
Okay.
Yeah. And he's an offensive guy.
Yep.
Skip, the only knock on Chris Paul is because you look at his resume in the regular season, it's impeccable. He led the league in assists several times, led the league in steals. He's an all-NBA offensive and defensive player.
His accolades are extreme.
The only thing against him was what? Lack of playoff success.
Yeah.
Okay, now he's having that even at the ripe age of 36.
Okay.
So this is going to go a long way with how once he hang up the shoes, because it looks like you hear reports that he's going to opt out the last year, $44 million, and want another 3 to 4 year deal. Probably going to get it. Probably going to get it, Skip. So when it's all said and done, we're going to look. Because if I'm not mistaken, the last guys that were 36 or older to have 37 points was Karl Malone and Kareem.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay.
So.
All right. So what do we see in 2018? He and James Harden got to the conference final.
Had Golden State's on the road.
They had them on the rope. They're up 3-2.
Yep.
And at the end of that 5th game, Chris, right on schedule, pulls his hamstring, and he's done for games 6 and 7. And you know the rest of the story. It got ugly.
Yep.
And that was the game 7 at Oakland, in which the Rockets, featuring James Harden solo, shot 7 of 44 from 3 and missed.
It's 27, 28 straight.
Okay. So that was the end of that deal.
Right.
And that's what Chris was referring to. I thought it was interesting last night, post-game on TNT.
Right.
He says, they wrote me off 2 years ago, and then he quickly switched back to, but this is about us. Well, he needed to just get his little jab in there, and I appreciate it because he deserved to say that. He got written off. He got traded for Russell Westbrook. He got sent to what had become NBA Siberia in my hometown of Oklahoma City because they were just in an all-out rebuild.
Correct.
Right?
Yes.
So it's Chris Paul and nobody left up there, right?
Right.
And it looks like Sam Presti's going to just hoard a bunch of huge stash.
Yeah, the guy they're looking for right now, he probably the 7th or 8th grade right now.
Is. And they got picks just stacked like a Fort Knox of picks.
Yes.
Okay, but for that year with Chris Paul, they shocked everybody, and Chris bounced back and led them to, was it the 4 seed? They were really good. They were a decent team,
they were,
right?
Yeah.
And so off that, he parlayed that into Phoenix.
Right.
And Phoenix said, hey, wait a second, that's exactly what we need because we have more young talent than even they had young talent.
Right.
So watch us. And he was the missing link. So here he goes. He's got his squad. He's got Book. He's got Ayton. He's got Bridges on as a wing defender and scorer. There's nothing not to like about this.
This is the best situation for CP3, Skip, because guess why? He doesn't have a guy in James Harden that's already credentialed.
Yep.
So you can't come tell me nothing, bro.
Nope. He's the unquestioned leader of this team.
The Clippers, he and Blake was butting head.
Yeah.
Bro, you can't tell me nothing. I'm an all-star. I'm a rookie of the year. He goes to the Suns. They just want to make the playoffs.
They do.
Book says, I need to get on the big stage. Everybody keeps saying, this guy's spectacular, spectacular, spectacular. Well, how spectacular are you? You can't get your team to the playoffs.
Yep.
Now they're in the playoffs because, remember, Skip, maybe we should have foreshadowed because we saw this in the bubble. We saw them go 8-0 in the bubble. And you're like, okay, but that was the bubble.
Okay, but they did not have Chris, and they didn't have Jay Crowder, another veteran who knows how to do it.
Yeah. Guy had 5 blocks yesterday.
He had 5 blocks.
He only took like, what he take? 3 shots?
Yep.
4 shots. He was, 2 or 3 from the 3 or 3 from the free throw line.
Yep.
So he was phenomenal yesterday.
The guy LeBron was clowning in game 3.
Yeah.
Remember? Backing him down, spinning on him.
Skip, this is going to go long. If CP can pull this off, Skip, it changes the narrative of how we view him.
Totally agree. But now you got to pull it off. All you've done so far is you have created the opportunity to show the world just how great you can be when given the chance.
Yes.
Okay, here we go.
I'm excited for Chris Paul. It feels like the stars are aligning for the Suns and CP3.
Let you know how the Lakers are. The Lakers got 2 games off.
He's my guy right now. He's the guy I'm rooting for.
The Lakers got 2 games off him, and we hurt.
Yeah, that's okay. No mercy. Joel Embiid is averaging over 35 points against the Hawks as Philly has taken a 2-1 lead after another win on Friday night. Heading into tonight's matchup, Philly still finds themselves as a heavy favorite to win at the series according to Fox Bet Sportsbook. So, Shannon, do you still believe that your Hawks will win this series?
I'm not as confident as I once was, Skip. The DeAndre Hunter injury really hurt him because Solomon Hill, Skip, 1 point is not going to be enough for a guy that's in the starting lineup. And Kevin Huerter, 1 for 6. He was 1 for 5 from the 3-point line. He only gave him 3 points. So that's 4 points from guys that you're really counting on to give you minutes. And you look at Tobias Harris had 22, Joel Embiid had 27, Seth Curry had 12, Ben Simmons had 18, Courts Miles had 14, and Dwight Howard had 12. Well, you're getting that kind of production from the other squad, from one squad. You're going to need more than 28 from Trae and 23 from John Collins. I thought Bogdanovich played well. I thought Gallinari. But, Skip, you're going to need at least 18 from Huerter, maybe 8 to 10 from Solomon Hill, and I just don't know if Solomon Hill is capable. They turned the ball over far too much. Not really, but considering that you got your hands full with Embiid. And so now, Skip, we devote so much attention to Embiid, now everybody else is getting off. They got the work cut out for them, but we're going to win game 4. I believe we win game 4. You don't win game 4, you're not coming back to Atlanta for game 6. I think Nate McMillan is explaining it to him. We need to come out with a greater sense of urgency and not wait till we're down 10 points to try to rally and get back into the ball game. We need to do what we did in game 1, Skip. They jumped on them, they made shots, but weren't to play well. Solomon Hill gave them valuable minutes, and that's what you're going to need moving forward. But I'm still going to take the Hawks in game 4.
I warned you Friday, you're speaking with your heart instead of your head. Atlanta is still your home, or your home away from home. Or
the way they've been acting out there, I'm about to have to get up out of there, Skip.
Really?
They're off the chain now, Skip.
I also tried to warn you on Friday's show. Embiid is just too much for them. Ben Simmons is too much for them. So what happened right on cue in the third quarter of Friday evening's game at Atlanta?
Yeah,
it's a madhouse. It's everybody's on scene. You know, you got all the stars came out. And Doc got up into Ben Simmons at halftime and just said, look, you're playing great defense, because he was just suffocating little Trae Young. But he said, you got to attack on offense. So Ben Simmons took the ball and drove it to the hoop in the third quarter. He scored 11. He made 4 or 5 shots. Embiid scored 11 in the third quarter. And going to the fourth, it was 95-75 Sixers, and it was over. You can just book it. It was done. And actually, little Maestre, he did make 3 of 6 threes, but if you look hard at what he did, he made 2 when it was just pure garbage time, with 6:49 left and 1:26 left in the game. He made 1 to cut it to 17 and 1 to cut it to 15. So 2 of those threes were just meaningless to me.
Skip, when you look at it, the Hawks really don't have anybody that can match up with Ben Simmons, because if you take John Collins, he has to play Tobias Harris. Or if you take John Collins and put him on Ben Simmons, then Tobias Harris has the mismatch. So really they're at a disadvantage. You don't have anybody to do anything with Joel Embiid with his big butt backing you down like an 18-wheeler. And then you had a disadvantage with either Simmons or Tobias Harris.
Yep. I'm going to say it one more time. Embiid is a little bit better than Jokic. I have nothing but respect for Jokic, but Embiid is just a monster. Embiid is terrifying. Embiid is the one who makes you lose sleep the night before, because
he'll be going to the free throw line like 18 times a game.
Well, Jokic doesn't go to the free throw line. Jokic was mad he didn't go to the free throw last night, but he averages 5 a game. Embiid averages almost 11 a game. It's more than double what he averages. So Embiid just gets to the free throw line like a parade to the free throw line. So he went 16 times, made 12, which for him is not that great. I didn't think Philly played all that great. By the way, they did lose Danny Green for a while with a calf pull. You know how bad those can be.
Right.
And that's a big loss for them. I know he wasn't doing much in this game. He only made 3 minutes and 45 seconds. But that could be a big defensive loss for them. So I give you some shot. But those 2 guys between Embiid and Simmons, man, it's just hard for Atlanta to deal with them. It's hard to deal with Dwight coming in.
Yeah.
You guys, you Lakers, you missed Dwight this year.
Yeah. Because he gave you 12 and Skip, he gave you 12 and 6 in 13 minutes.
And plus, he's a great stand-in for Embiid because he's just so physical.
Yeah.
And he plays with so much edge.
Right.
He makes stuff happen.
He's not, Skip, he's not as athletic as he once was.
No.
But his knowledge of the game from playing it so long, he understands that I need to be here, that I can't rely on athleticism as I once could. So he relies on more smarts now. But he still has that body, Skip.
Does he?
He still can use that body.
And he knows how to use the body.
Yes. But Skip, if you let Embiid gets 27, Harris gets 22, and Ben Simmons get 18, you're not beating them.
Nope. I think Embiid loves turning down the sound in that arena. What do they call it now? Are we back to State Farm?
This is State Farm, yeah.
All right.
It used to be with the Highlight Factory. That's what they call it, the Highlight Factory.
I got it. But Embiid's going to have another monster game tonight, and they'll try to triple team him. But look, you doubled him the other night, and he got 8 assists.
But you know what, Skip? The Hawks won't shoot 6 or 23. They'll make at least, I'm going to say they're going to make at least somewhere between 13 and 15 threes. Could I interest you in 2 cases of that?
15?
13 to 15.
You're feeling full of yourself.
13 to 15 threes.
20 for Utah.
Yeah.
No, I don't want that.
Well, what about the win? We gonna get the win.
Okay, I'll take the win just straight up.
No. Give me the points.
No.
Skip.
I got Philly. I know
Philly. You got Philly. Give me the points. Y'all got Skip. You got the best big man in basketball.
Huh? You're at home. Are you
really?
kidding?
Really?
You love your Hawks.
I love the Hawks. Give me the points. What's the point? What's the spread?
It's too many.
How many?
4.
Oh yeah, give me that. Skip.
Too many.
Joel Embiid.
Are you kidding?
Joel Embiid against Clint Capella.
Yeah,
Ben Simmons.
Atlanta can't win one home game?
You told me Ben Simmons, he suffocated little Mice Trae.
He did.
Okay, well, give me the points then.
Yeah. Okay, I'll just for fun, because I'm so far ahead, I will give you the points for one case.
What?
Just one case, that's all. One case.
So in other words, you're not that confident. Don't Skip.
Atlanta should win. I said the other day they should win one home game.
The Skip.
I had the Sixers in 6. Well, this way it's going to be 5.
The Skip I know would have said 3-5 easy.
No.
Oh, no, you just told me that. Oh, I got the Clippers tonight for 5 cases of dew.
Well, you do. You realize this is you're up against it with the Clippers today.
You up against it.
Well, if the Clippers win this game, you lose 5 cases because you said Clippers. I mean, you had Jazz in 5.
You won't get them.
So you have to win this game, or it's
got it.
Going to be 6.
Got it.
You got it. Okay. Well, I'll go one case.
Okay.
One case, and I'll give you 4 points. This is like a steal for you. Come on, Atlanta at home with no Danny Green.
Skip, they just got beat 127-111, and you talking about it a piece of cake. It's a steal.
Well, they shot 6 of 23 from 3, and you just predicted they're going to make 15 threes.
13 for sure.
Okay. All right. One case.
All right.
I actually have some guts on this show.
No, you don't.
As opposed to anybody else.
I mean, you got a great
Alex,
lineup
I'm sorry tomorrow you're going to miss me drinking some more dew.
No mercy. Saturday on Fox, Nolan Arenado and the Cardinals take on Ronald Acuna Jr. and the Braves, or the White Sox battle the Astros, or Reds Padres. It all starts at 7 Eastern on Fox and the Fox Sports app. Check your local listings for the game in your area. Now, finding themselves down 0-2 for the second straight series, Kawhi and the Clippers made a statement with a 132-106 win versus the Jazz on Saturday. Kawhi and Paul George combined for 65 points, and after the game, Ty Lue said of his stars, quote, "We know that they are 2 of the best in the league. LA now has a chance to tie the series at 2 games each." And joining us now is Fox Sports NBA analyst Chris Broussard. Chris, who wins Game 4 tonight?
Alex, I've got the Clippers evening this thing up at 2 games apiece tonight. I can make a strong argument that the Clippers have outplayed the Jazz in this series. They lost 2 close games in Utah with their star player Kawhi having 2 subpar performances, averaging just 22 points a game. Then they blow them out in Game 3 when Kawhi rights himself. And I think Kawhi will continue to play this well. Paul George, I don't expect 30 points and 6 3-pointers from him on a nightly basis, but I think he can play well enough. I expect him to give you 20-plus tonight. He's done that for 10 straight playoff games, every playoff game this postseason. And then 1 or 2 of the role players can step up. Reggie Jackson has had some great moments. Nick Batum was the guy last game stepping up with 17 points. Whether it's Marcus Morris or somebody, just one other role player to step up and play well, and I think the Clippers will be in good shape. Donovan Mitchell, I think what we've kind of seen, they certainly haven't solved him. He had 30 points in the last game, but they have figured out some things about him, and whereas he was absolutely going bananas in the first 6 quarters of the series, he's been, they've been able to keep him at least in check since then. He had a good 30-point game in Game 3, but not, nothing crazy. So as long as they can keep him from having one of these historic nights, then I think they're in good shape on the defensive end. And also the Jazz, they're due to miss some threes. They're a very good 3-point shooting team, 39% in the regular season, but they've been at 42% for this series. They're averaging almost 16 threes a game. So they're due to have a cold shooting night. They even hit 19 threes in Game 3 when they were blown out. So I think all of those things come together to let the Clippers win the night, and now we really have ourselves a series.
Thank you.
Well, the biggest thing was that I saw in Game 3 is that you look at Nicholas Batum that was inserted into the starting lineup. He gave him 17. And Reggie Jackson has been phenomenal. You go back and look at what he did to close the last 3 games against Dallas, and you look at the first 3 games, he's been spectacular. He's shooting the ball hell. He shoots the 3, and I'm like, when did Reggie Jackson turn into Steph Curry? Because he kept them in the ball game. Chris, if you remember the Game 2 in the third quarter, it was his 16 points that kept them attached and later allowed them to overtake them in the fourth, although Utah came back. The question is, I have no concerns about Kawhi. Kawhi's history tells me that Kawhi can go get 34 again. He can get 40 if he needs to. But that's not what history showed me about Paul George. We haven't seen Paul George be consistent game in and game out since the old Paul George back in Indy. That's when he was going head-to-head with LeBron, Chris. That Paul George, I was like, now if that Paul George would have shown up, they winning the title. But I don't know if that Paul George is still there, can be that consistent, because a lot of things keep, go on in his head, and he start hearing people talking, and he goes haywire. I don't believe the Clippers can make 19 or 36 again. I don't believe they can shoot 52% again. Now, you keep talking about Utah. This is what we know about Utah. They average 17 threes a game. So 16 is below their average. We know the Clippers don't average making those 19 threes a game. So they're above their average. So the laws of averages, something can need to align. We needed the stars and the moon to align again. And when they do, we going back to Utah 3-1.
Oh.
Donovan Mitchell. Remember I said you heard it here first. Donovan going for 40 tonight.
40s.
40 piece.
Sharpe.
40 piece with no napkins, extra sauce. Gonna make a mess of them, Chris Broussard.
So, I may just have to wear my New Balance tomorrow.
Yeah.
I may have to put some New Balance right up here on this table, because this man across from me predicted Jazz in 5, 4-5, as in 4-5 cases.
Yeah.
So if my math serves me correctly, that means you have to win this game tonight or you are done.
Got it.
Right?
Got it.
You got it.
That's all you coming. I knew you were going to take that sucker bet.
Chris Broussard says you are done, because Chris Broussard just laid it right out for you. Chris Broussard, who's covered this league for years, he knows his NBA, and he spat straight facts at you about why the Clippers will prevail tonight. Okay. And I agree with him. Again, the Clippers have to play up to this level, but they are just a little bit better than the Jazz. The Jazz had the best record in the NBA because they had the 3rd best offense and the 3rd best defense, and they led the league in rebounding. We get that. Donovan Mitchell is as explosive a scorer as there is in this league, but the Clippers are starting to draw a bead on him with multiple defenders, starting with Kawhi, maybe ending up with a little Pat Bev just to annoy and irritate him. I don't know how Donovan's ankle is going to be. It was the ankle that plagued him at the end of the year, but he wanted to go back in the game, so I'm going to say he'll be 100% tonight. I wouldn't use that as any excuse or factor in this game. But to Chris's point, all I've seen so far is that in Game 1, my Clippers led by 13 at halftime and did have a last shot to tie the game. In Game 2, my Clippers, mid-third to mid-fourth quarter, went on a 46-23 lead, and off a Mr. June, as in Reggie Jackson 3, took the lead with 6 minutes to go by 2. And proceeded to miss 9 straight shots, 7 of them three-point shots. A bunch of them by one Marcus Morris, who has been missing in action. Marcus Morris returns tonight. Marcus Morris Sr. is now in this series 1 of 16 from 3. That will not hold, because you know and I know he's been here and done all this before. He's 31 years of age. He's a 10-year veteran. And in the Dallas series, he made half of his threes. Yep. In the regular season, he led the Clippers in three-point shooting, and they led the NBA in three-point percentage shooting, but he made 47%. So history is screaming, Mr. Sharpe, you will be in trouble thanks to Marcus Morris tonight, because he went 1 for 9 in the first game, 0 for 5 in the second game at Utah, and took only 2 threes and missed both of them on Saturday evening at Staples. Well, he will snap out of it.
Well, I'm going to be in trouble. Now, you told me that the Jazz were the 3rd-ranked defensive team. Well, you don't let a team shoot 56% from the floor and 53% from three and win. They were the number 1 rebounding team. You don't get out-rebounded by the Clippers and expect to win. So I expect Rudy Gobert to go get me somewhere between 15 and 20 rebounds. I expect Bogdanovich to make 4 of 9, 4 of 8 from the three. Jordan Clarkson needs to get up 20 shots. He'll make half of those, probably like 6 threes. We're going to win a tight ball game. I'm going to say we win ball game 120-116.
120 to 116. Says Shannon Sharpe with no courage of his convictions. I know you better than you know you, and I can tell there is fear in your voice.
You know what, Skip Bayless? Let me tell you how scared I am. I want another case on it.
Really?
You keep talking.
Thank you.
You keep jugging. You keep poking me. I want another case. 6 cases.
Let's go 7 cases.
6 cases right now.
6 cases?
Yes.
Done. Thank you. Let's bring more. All I got to do is win tonight at Staples.
You're not going to win tonight, though.
I got a guy named Kawhi Leonard on my side, and that's all I need, because you saw what he did in that game. He just said, absolutely not in my house.
Look, another thing, Chris, I know if you noticed this, they got to push. They're allowing the Clippers to get set. I need Donovan to push it and stop dilly-dallying around. He's trying to get into the offense in 8-9 seconds, and then they last second, they're heaving up shots. Go earlier into your offense. Watch tonight. Got something for you. 40-piece. Donovan Mitchell. Jordan Clarkson chips in with 28.
You know what else? What's interesting is that, like, Kawhi, we've talked about his defense or his lack thereof because Luka was able to go off. Donovan's been going off. But I think Kawhi is capable of playing the type of defense he become known for in Toronto and San Antonio. But he can only do it in spurts. He can only do it in stretches. He seems like an old 29. Okay? So I think the Clippers almost like, let's try to win without Kawhi having to exert too much on that end of the floor. But when it gets to, when nut crunching time and he's got to defend, then they'll put him on Luka or put him on Donovan, and he can still defend them at points. So I think that's almost like a little secret weapon they have in their bag that we won't start Kawhi there, but if we have to get a win, we'll go there with him. So I think he's capable of that. And then, Shannon, the playoffs is about stars. And they've got 2, and the Jazz have 1. And Paul George, I agree with you. He is inconsistent. And it's funny because you're right, in Indiana, I think he's better in the regular season now than he was in Indiana. But in the playoffs, he was better in Indiana than he has been the last several years. He gets in his head too much. Every post-game press conference or interview, I feel like is a referendum on where's his mental state. Was he confident tonight? Was he hesitant tonight? Was he hearing voices tonight? Was he, whatever. But I do think the bottom line is, even if it's inconsistent, I can count on him for 20-plus points. And I think he'll do that tonight and still be better than any player on the Jazz outside of Donovan Mitchell.
I don't mind the 20-point, as long as it take him 18 shots to get it. It's the problem when he's taking 10 shots or 11 shots and getting those 22 points, Chris. It's the inefficiency. Because if you look at what from game 5 all the way up until game 3, he had never shot 50%. He had never been 40% from the 3 until Saturday night. So what am I supposed to take? I've seen more bad than good. So now all of a sudden, Chris want to make you, Skip Bayless, and Chris Broussard want to make sure that Paul George is whole again. I'm not here to believe that just yet. He's going to have to show me again.
Well, he just keeps showing you night after night after night.
No, he showed me Saturday afternoon. He didn't show me night after night.
So he's played 10 fourth quarters so far in this postseason, and he's averaged 8 and 3 rebounds. That's pretty good. He's a plus 33 in those 10 fourth quarters. So every time he touches the ball, good things are happening in the fourth quarter.
Well, guess what, Skip? He's 5 and 5 in those fourth quarters. 5 and 5.
Well,
so how good
of 5 and 5? Kawhi Leonard in the fourth quarter on Saturday evening at Staples was 5-4-5 in the fourth quarter, and that did you in.
What they bring the angle? Look, let Bogdanovich, a bogey, do a number on him. The first 2 games, what did Bogey do?
And then what did Kawhi do the other night?
Because
get out of my way.
Chris, you know this. You can't let stars get a rhythm. You can't put somebody that's a lesser defender on him, let that guy get a rhythm, and then all of a sudden try to shut him down. Ask Kawhi. That's why Kawhi couldn't stop Donovan. Once these guys get a rhythm, I don't care who your defender is. You can run the best defender of all time. Once a top-level guy gets it going offensively, ain't nothing you can do.
So I'll tack one more case on our bet that Donovan Mitchell doesn't score 40+. You want one more case on that?
I go case for 40.
Okay, thank you.
40.
All right.
He got
Appreciate
it.
that.
How about my old bitch?
New Balance we got next.
No mercy.
Kyrie Irving went down in Game 4 with a sprained ankle in the second quarter and did not return. Giannis and the Bucks capitalized with a 107-96 win to even the series at 2 games each. Steve Nash said the Nets are, quote, crossing their fingers about Kyrie, while Brooklyn is hopeful that James Harden can make his return at some point this series. Chris Broussard is still with us. So, Chris, if Kyrie is out for a while, are the Nets done?
You know, there's something deep down inside of me that wants to keep me from saying 100% done. But I got to be honest, if Kyrie's not back and if James Harden doesn't somehow return to replace him, then I can't see them beating Milwaukee. I mean, Milwaukee is a legitimate team. Milwaukee is a team that if they get past Brooklyn, has as good a chance as anybody to win the championship when you look at the lay of the land right now. And so it just seems too much. I mean, as great as Kevin Durant is, I don't think he can carry this team by himself past Milwaukee. When I look at the defense that they've played on KD the last 2 games, and I got to give the Bucks credit. Look, I think if Kyrie had not gotten hurt, the Nets were going to be up 3-1 and this thing would be over.
I agree.
But even so, they were defending Durant really well. At PJ Tucker, you know, he got ripped. He got criticized for giving Durant all this flowers and saying he's unguardable after game 2 and you just got to try to make it hard, but you can't stop him. All of that. But the last 2 games, he has been terrific defensively on Durant, and Durant has shot 37%. The last time KD shot below 40% in back-to-back playoff games was 2018 when Golden State was playing Houston when PJ Tucker was guarding him for the Rockets. And that is when he had Steph Curry and Klay Thompson to draw attention from the defense. Now he's got nobody to draw that attention. And so I think it's going to get even tougher on KD. I expect him to get his points because he's going to have to. And even if he gets them efficiently, who else is stepping up? Blake Griffin, you really need him to be able to turn back the clock for the next 3 games. And I don't know if he's capable of doing that. I think what we're going to see, or what we even saw in the second half, was role players and what role players are really about. You guys know this. There's really no scrubs in the NBA. We talk about a guy not being good. Everybody in the NBA can play, and they're skilled. And at one level, they were a star, high school or college, mostly college. And when you put any role players around 2 or 3 stars who draw multiple defenders and attention on every possession, they can play well. So Joe Harris, I mean, the Nets role players were great during the regular season. Joe Harris, Bruce Brown, it's like, where did he come from? Nick Claxton, Landry Shamet, they all looked great in the regular season. But now with just 1 star drawing defenders, now they've got to step up and they go to that next level, and they're not good enough to do it at that next level consistently. So now it's with Bruce Brown, instead of just hustling and getting loose balls and, scoring little putbacks and all of that stuff, getting rebounds. Now I need your points. I need 14 from you. And I got to pencil you in for 14. And I don't think he's ready for that. Joe Harris, instead of, the 4th scorer, now you're either 2nd, or if Blake has a nice night, you're 3rd. And I got to count on you now for close to 20 points. And I don't think he's ready for that. They may do it here and there, but consistently to beat the Bucks is going to be tough. So, look, without Kyrie or Harden, this thing is just about over.
This would do more damage to Giannis's career if he were to lose to KD without Kyrie and James Harden than any other loss he suffered. I don't care about losing 4 straight to Toronto. I don't care about losing to Miami. If he were with Middleton and Holiday, If he cannot get past KD alone, this would do more damage to his career, Chris Broussard, than any loss he suffered in the playoffs.
Okay, are you suggesting that's going to happen?
No, I'm not suggesting, but I'm just saying,
that is true.
But here's
he's
the
had some
You still got
stinkers.
Brooklyn, Shannon?
No. But Skip, Chris, we thought that the Bucks could give them a series with James Harden and Kyrie.
Right.
Forget now that KD could possibly be alone. We thought this could be a long series even with those guys. Now they're not there. Milwaukee should be favored from here out. Milwaukee really should end this in 6 games, Skip. They really should.
I agree.
Chris, you touched on something. When you talk about these guys, and you're absolutely right, any guy that makes it to the professional level can play at that level, be it MLB, football, or basketball. But there's something that we like to say, Skip, when you and I talk about expectations. You see, there was no expectation for Bruce Brown. He come in there and get no hustle plays, give you 10 points. You like, that was great. Now I need my coach, Coach Hall, who coached me in track, he used to go into the track meet. Guys, we can win this. Now I know Shannon gonna give me 10 in the triple jump. He's gonna give me 10 in the long jump, and probably 8 in the disc. I know that. I got the 28. Now I need you to give me like 8 in the pole vault. I need you to give me this. Now I'm gonna get mine, Chris. You know what I'm saying? Your boy ain't gonna get his. Can I count on everybody else with those expectations?
Why didn't you run the sprints?
I was on the relay. Skip, that's too much running.
The Cowboys said you timed 4.8 in the 40. I don't know.
All I know is I ran ankle leg on the mile relay. I was on second leg in the 4x1.
Yeah, and what division was this, like?
We
Division
class
12
A.
or,
We class A.
You know, in there class 5A?
No, they're 8A now. But Skip, we
8A.
Look here.
You're in the tiny school division.
We were in the tiny school, but everybody in those big schools in surrounding county, they knew about them Sharpe boy. But anyway, back to my original
Well, they knew about your big brother, for sure.
But the thing is the expectations. So as you mentioned, can we count on Joe Harris now all of a sudden? We need that. Because see, Kyrie ain't there to pull that attention. James Harden is not to pull that attention. So now you got to go get it. So Holiday. So Joe Harris, you start going. You got to deal with True Holiday. Now we saw the number he was giving it to Kyrie. Kyrie was, you're not getting no easy shots against Holiday.
Nope.
He legit.
I agree.
Now Chris Middleton, he ain't got Harden to worry about. Or we can blitz KD and make somebody else beat us. And you're asking KD not only to be a scorer, Chris, you're also asking him, you know what, KD? You're going to have to run the offense too, bro. So you might have to give us 8 to 12 assists. And by the way, we need you to get on the boards too. So you're asking him to do something that KD hasn't been asked to do very often in his career. Because as you mentioned, he had Draymond, he had Steph. Russ ran the offense really maybe to a detriment in OKC.
Yeah.
Now Kyrie and Harden.
And remember, Steven Adams did the dirty work.
Right.
Okay?
So so all he could focus on was being extremely efficient. Now you got to take 30 shots. Throw efficiency out the winds. You might need 40.
Agree. I hate it that we're even having to discuss this because it feels like the NBA injury gods finally said no to Brooklyn. And I hate it for Kyrie. I hate it for James, but I do not expect either of them to play in Game 5 tomorrow night at Brooklyn. I just don't.
I don't either.
And even if James tries, how much do you trust he's going to last on a hamstring that has been balky? It's the same hamstring that's plagued him for the last 2
He missed
months.
what? He missed 20 games? He missed 17, 20 games?
And then he tried and he lasted like 45 seconds.
45 seconds, yep.
Okay. Kyrie, that was an ugly turn of the ankle. That went all the way to the floor. That was ankle bone on floor.
Right.
It's just no good. I don't care. There's no way he's going to play in this game. You can try to pull off a miracle, but you won't. So now they have to completely revamp their whole offense on the fly in 48 hours because Mike James is going to have to be the quote-unquote point guard.
Yep.
He was recently on a 10-day contract, having bounced all around Europe, Russia, Greece, Israel, Spain, and all of a sudden he's the starting point guard in a big play, like a pivotal playoff game. And I like him. He's fearless, but like you say, Chris, now Landry Shamet's got to make some big shots, and Joe Harris has to be the number 2 scorer, and Tyler Johnson's going to have to make some big shots, and TLC, who was pretty good in the regular season, he's going to have to play some minutes and make some shots.
Claxton's going to have to be huge on the glass.
Just play huge, and as you said, Kevin's going to have to be do it all. And I believe he is the best player on the planet. And I think this is a great opportunity for him to rise and shine and show you. So I believe Brooklyn will win Game 5 at home because I think the referees won't allow, especially P.J. Tucker, to play football the way they did yesterday at Milwaukee. So I believe they can win Game 5. I do not think they can win the series because they're just going to get worn down. They might have one last hurrah in them, and then after that, that will be the end of that story.
Chris, you know what I didn't like about the Bucks? As big as they are, they jack up a lot of threes. Brooklyn is really a small team. They don't got a true big. Kevin Durant doesn't want to play down there, and they took, I don't know why they took Blake out. They talk about they want to play small.
Well,
they make it seem like
Blake. Is he hurt?
Yeah.
I don't know. He got shut down for the whole, last quarter and a half yesterday.
Yes.
Nash said he's fine. I wanted to go small.
But,
Small.
I mean, you look at, Skip, if you look at the Bucks, they are a tall, big team. Giannis, Lopez, Middleton. That's a lot of, so even if KD were to escape Tuck, he got to deal with Lopez. He got to deal with Giannis. He got to deal with Middleton. Yep. And those guys are really, really good defenders. So if the Bucks, look, I'm blitzing KD. KD's not gonna beat me. KD might take 40 shots, but he ain't getting no 40 points. I'm gonna make all the guys you mentioned, Shannon, Mike James, Joe Harris, all those guys, earn your money.
Okay.
Yeah, right now.
Your point, Shannon, like Brook Lopez, he had Kyrie on him at times.
Yes!
And he's still shooting threes. And remember, early in his career, he was a low post scorer.
Yes.
Like, that was his game. And he doesn't even try it anymore. But, Skip, you're right. Look, if KD can win this series and you know, keep him alive enough for Kyrie or Harden to get back against Philadelphia, then he's establishing himself as the best player in the world.
The most consecutive game they played is 3 games in the regular season, the Big Three. They've made one playoff game. They made it through the series against Boston, Skip.
Yeah, right now, without Kyrie and Harden, this is Giannis's series to lose.
No mercy.
Today on FS1, the biggest soccer tournament of the year continues with group stage play as Messi leads Argentina against Chile. The action-packed tournament keeps rolling today at 5 Eastern on FS1 and the Fox Sports app. Now, LeBron will be entering his 18th season, and we might finally see signs of the superstar slowing down. Jared Dudley spent the last 2 seasons with the Lakers and spoke on this stage in LeBron's career. Dudley said, quote, "We salute LeBron. People say he's slowing down, and it's natural to slow down a little bit. That's why you have Anthony Davis. That's where he has to take the torch, and that's where he will take the torch next year." So, Shannon, do you agree LeBron is slowing down?
I needed to hear this before the ankle injury. So are we talking pre-ankle injury when he was the MVP front runner, or are we talking after the ankle injury when he wasn't the same player? Because clearly he wasn't slowing down. Nobody mentioned anything about Father Time. No, everybody was still in awe that LeBron had not lost a step and he was the MVP front runner. We know what their record was before AD got hurt. They were 21-6 with LeBron and AD on the court. And then AD get hurt, and then a couple of weeks later LeBron get hurt, and everything goes to you know what. So for me, Skip, look, it's natural. Yes, you can't, there's no way you can do the same things at year 18, that, especially in sports, that you could in year 5, year 10. That's natural. But it's so microscopic in which he's slowing down, he can do other things. So now, as opposed to like just slowly relying on his athletic ability, Skip, he can think things through, know where the defense is going to be, and says, okay, this is where the help's going to come from. This is where I need to get to. So let me go ahead and start that process. As far as AD, Skip, how can you turn the keys over somebody when they're not ready to drive? I mean, how do we say, okay, AD is your team when AD can't stay healthy and stay on the court? Even before AD got injured, he was not the same AD year 2 in LA as he was the first year. Pre-injury, go look it up. All the numbers were down across the board. So LeBron might be ready to turn it over to AD, but is he ready to drive the car?
I don't know. So I saw a video on Saturday of LeBron and two of his friends attending Bronny's high school championship game. Bronny's been out all year, so he came back. It was kind of unfair to him to get thrown into that cauldron. But the two friends were a guy named Drake. I think we all know that guy.
Yeah.
And the other friend was Jared Dudley. I'm thinking, wait a second, those three went to the game together? LeBron, Drake, and Jared Dudley? It's like, who doesn't fit in that sentence? Jared Dudley. I've told you before, he's like the Lakers mascot. And LeBron took him to Bronny's game.
Yeah.
And they're all like courtside.
Front row.
Yeah, and they're all dancing, doing dances together.
Think about it, Skip. You're a high school player and Drake shows up to your game.
Yeah.
Or you're an opposing player and Drake is at the game.
I would, this is just my 2 cents on this. I wish LeBron would just go sit up in the 44th row up in the corner and just sit quietly and watch.
I'm going to be that cheering my son on. Get it, son, get it.
It looked like he and Drake were trying to upstage Bronny occasionally because they wanted to celebrate after shots made by other guys.
Yeah, celebrate.
Okay,
That's what parents do.
But my point is, Jared Dudley got asked along for that ride. And I'm like, whoa, because that'd be a limo ride, man, to that game, right? People. Well, he was in the good graces of LeBron until I read this quote, because I don't think LeBron's going to like either part of this quote. Because I don't think he'll like slowing down a little bit, like it's natural. I don't think he'll like Jared Dudley voicing that. I don't think so. And I definitely don't think he's going to say that he loves that Jared Dudley proclaimed publicly the torch will be passed to AD next year. It was supposed to be passed this year. It was not. It was supposed to be passed this year. LeBron will never be comfortable with passing the torch to anybody. Yeah. At some point in time, we can't run as fast. Okay. That's why you call it a relay team. The first leg don't run the whole race. The second leg don't run the whole race. LeBron doesn't want to play his second fiddle. He just doesn't want to play it. You ready to take it? Well, you just said he's not ready to take it. You don't think LeBron knows that too? Oh, wait, what you want me to do, Skip? Okay. You do really. I want Jared Dudley to put a sock in it. Like you can't say that publicly. Skip. You're off the A list right now. First of all, Skip, when I ran the 4x4, Skip, I ran the ankle leg. But I got the baton soon. Well, we got a lot of your high school. Yeah, because I'm trying to tell you. Because I was the strongest, so I needed to run the furthest. So you know what? I got it a little further back as opposed to, because I need to go get it. How would you run an ankle when the Cowboys said you clocked 4.8 in a 40? I don't get it. This must have been tiny school track. Every school that you were competing against had like 8 students. No. We beat a lot of schools. We beat a lot of AA, AAA, and quad A schools too. All I know is I was the best jumper in the state of Georgia my senior year. All right, I'll give you that much, but we're talking about speed. You must be thinking, hold on. You know, I did. So what you think? I did play a speed position. You weighed like 165 pounds when you were. No, I didn't. I weighed 185. Well, maybe 180. But I did play a skill position in the NFL. You do realize you got to run. I've asked this question, and I don't know the answer to it because I can't know what's inside a man's heart and his body. Okay. I don't know how bad that ankle hurt through the Phoenix series. Bad. Ankle. Did it hurt bad? Yeah. It's one or the other. It's either Father Time tapping him on the left shoulder or it's ankle, the right ankle. Well, let me ask you a question. Did he look old to you prior to the injury? That's all I'm asking. I didn't have him as the MVP frontrunner. The year before, I did. Everybody had him there. He was shooting pathetically from 3 in the free throw line. I'm sorry, he was stinking from the fourth quarter. He was not good. You saw that. But I will give you this. He was playing at a high level. Yeah, did you see what he did against Cleveland? He was at least in the conversation for MVP before last. We were the conversation. Yeah. What you mean in it? We were the conversation. You mentioned Solomon Hill. You got to get more from Solomon Hill. And the Hawks are like, we got all we needed from him. He put LeBron out, right? Yeah, well, hopefully he don't put anybody else out. I don't think he's a bad guy. I think it was just an accident, and he tried to brace his fall. He tried to Well, get some loose balls. There been some loose balls. Get them from Philly. But the point is, LeBron did look a little... He looked weary. He just looked like he was aging against Phoenix to the point that I think he got so sick of it in that Game 5 at Phoenix where he just walked off with, 5 minutes left? Did you see Kevin Durant leave early yesterday? He left with 5 seconds left. Early. 5 seconds. Was the game over? The game ended while he was starting into the tunnel. Can I ask you a question? It was the last possession. They're just running out the clock. If the speed limit 55 and you going 60, are you speeding? Yes or no? Will you get a ticket? No. Yes. LeBron deserved a big ticket. No, he didn't, Skip. Yeah. Look,
All I'm saying is you talking to somebody that had high ankle sprains and dealt with them.
Got it.
They tough, Skip.
But you better hang on to that because it looked like he was aging right before your very eyes.
And plus, being injured and trying to come back. Just imagine missing 5, 6, 7 weeks in the regular season and then come back for the playoffs. Not another 5 weeks to get ready.
Yep.
You come right back and they throw you right back in it. You see him against Golden State? How did he look to you in Golden State?
Michael B. Jordan.
He's still LeBron James, and he is still great. Big fan, always going to have his back here.
No mercy.
Well, Paul George has had an up-and-down series against the Jazz, and after mediocre shooting in the first 2 losses, PG-13 roared back in Game 3 with 31 points while shooting 50% from the floor and 60% from deep. So, Shannon, do you expect playoff P or pandemic P tonight in Game 4?
I don't expect to see the guy that I saw on Saturday. That's what I don't expect.
You need pandemic.
No.
You're cooked.
That guy, look, Skip, he bangs into Royce O'Neal. He throws the ball. The ball hits the top of the backboard over Rudy Gobert and goes in the hoop.
Yeah, loved it.
Hey, I know you did.
Yeah, playoff P.
That's what I knew. I said, okay, it's over. He hit that shot right there. Now he's doing circus shot, throwing it over his head like that. No, it's not going to happen. You're going to go back to Utah down 3-1.
I expect playoff P to play like a star tonight, to come out in attack mode. No, I don't need 30 points and 6 threes. I need 24 points and 4 threes, but I need attack mode because the best thing he and Kawhi have been doing to Rudy Gobert is attack him. They get in the paint, they're long, they're strong, they're physical, and they're both gifted in the paint. And they are creating havoc because both of them can pass out of the paint. So all I need is him to play like he's been playing in attack mode.
I just need Rudy to stay out of foul trouble early. He's getting those early ticky-tack fouls, and he can't be as aggressive as he needs to be. But he got something for you guys tonight. 14 points, 18 rebounds, 6 blocks. And they win 120-116.
Marcus Morris Sr., this is your night.
You're on vacation.
Fun one tonight. That's it for us. We're back tomorrow at 9:30 Eastern. Stick around because the herd starts right now.